Ooh, hello everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, YouTube, everywhere this is going to go live and see people at. Welcome to the broadcast. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions. And as the title says, bringing out some new or bringing out the new, whichever way you want to go, however you want to say it, whichever way you want to go. Welcome everybody to the show. Welcome to the broadcast. We are talking about new things. We are talking about, you know, since this is my rebuild year for my business, this is all about the new. All about the new stuff that's going to be hitting, that's going to be making its way to you, the fan base out there. And, all the fun, good stuff that's cool and happening and hip. Not really hip, but, all the, just the fun stuff. Just the fun stuff about life that is happening right now. With our shirt line, not this shirt that we've got going on. My Joker shirt's been a big popular hit so far. If you want one of those, hit me up. Be sure to hit me up for one of those. And then we have some new rolling out. And people have been commenting on what they want to see when it comes to my next shirts. So, the shirts we have in the works are Bad Habits right here. I'll be wearing one of these fairly soon. American Horror. Yes, I'll be wearing one of these as well. American Horror right here, based off the 1939 Gothic painting, American Gothic. A nice little oil painting. The Chester Bennington, a fan favorite so far. This sold in print form like crazy. The Last Ronin, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, will be on a shirt. Wonder Woman is going to be on a shirt. I'm getting ready to order some of these as we speak. Well, not right now, but after the show. And as well as Howard the Duck has been suggested as well. So there you go. Mr. Howard the Duck. The early days, not the CGI creation that is in all the Marvel movies now, especially two of their films here lately. So that's some of the new stuff that's getting ready to hit these shelves here at 412 Productions. And hopefully you guys will enjoy those and pick some of those up. Like so many people have with the Joker shirt, the Chester Bennington shirt, the Wonder Woman shirt now. And that's the orders that have come through so far. But lots for the Joker shirt have come through. And that's an exciting time that people like the Joker shirt that much. And if you don't know which Joker shirt I'm talking about, it is based off of this painting right here. This is the Joker shirt that I have up for sale right now. I will have a second Joker shirt. I am working on the design layout for it so I can get it on a shirt and get it out to you, the people out there. Dexter will be on a shirt as well from my paper drawing, not the painted version, which either one could be on a shirt real easy. They're both very cool. I just like this version a little bit better. It represents him a little bit better than the painting did. But, that's neither here nor there because the painting looks awesome in and of itself as well, which I have sitting right here. Mr. Dexter coming at you live and in charge on an 18 by 24 painting. Get it while you can. So he's cool. People actually loved it. Whenever they saw it, they just didn't buy it. They did buy some prints that were available of it, which is understandable. So, but if you want the original, you can purchase the original as well. Any of my stuff that I have the original of, you can purchase those as well. New stuff for the table are these little guys right here. Some of you might not have seen these already, but these are actual saw blades with a base that you can, put your whatever on. You can throw your keys on it. You can throw your thumb drives on it, whatever, or you can just display it somewhere in the house. It says the art of art, painted in blood. Not really, it's just paint. But it is on an actual saw blade. Real saw blade. So there you go. And it comes with the base. And then you also have Billy the Puppet from Saw. I want to play a game. Right here coming at you, and that's what the base says. And again, you can throw your keys on it, all that good stuff. And that, or if you can just display it on your shelf as a statement piece. People come in like, oh, that's cool. Or somebody breaks into your house and you can throw the saw blade at them. Because it is real. And I do have more pieces like that I'm going to be working on for next year as well. Scream, very popular. All of a sudden, again, I know some new movies. That new movie just came out not too long ago, and so people still like Ghostface. So that's some people's favorite is Ghostface, which I don't understand, but not really my favorite. Give me some Nightmare on Elm Street with some Freddy Krueger or some Jason Voorhees, or Michael Myers, the originals, not the remakes and not the later on versions, But give me those. Give me those as the slasher horror stuff. But then, give me the true crime stuff too. So I love doing all that stuff. I've got a Jeffrey Dahmer, having a nice little meal, you know, that I did up via the girlfriend's suggestion. So, those type things. So what are you all doing out there? How do you bring in some new stuff? What new stuff do you bring in? New animals like we do here at the homestead. Yes, I homestead as well as do artwork. Got new artworks in the works here, right there. I can't quite show it to you 100%, but I can show it to you. Reworking another piece up here, and then I'll be hitting hot and heavy on 3 other commissions that I've got going on at the same time as well. But I did get in my covers for the job number 3, running around here somewhere. Gotta figure out where I put them real fast so that you guys can see them. Where did I put those? There. Where did I put them? I don't even know what I put in with them. I know I didn't pack them away yet. I'm looking the office over. They should have been right here, actually. But they look cool. They did a great job. His printer did a great job on those. I'm looking to see if I just overlooked them right here. But I don't think I did. Or I didn't think I did. Those are not right here with the X-Men. Number 600 covers. No. And all of that is that. Where did I go? Oh, well. They're here somewhere. As usual, I don't know what I did with them. But I appreciate the likes. I appreciate the gifts and things like that come through on a regular basis. And if you would, please like, share, and follow so other people can come in and check out the broadcast channel. We talk about everything here from movies to comic book movies to comic books to artwork, my work coming out as far as comic books and things like that, and all of that goody good stuff here. So I did go. The girlfriend and I went and watched the new Final Destination Bloodlines yesterday afternoon during the matinee. Can you say disappointed? Especially after seeing some reviews of people ran out of the theater at the first section of this movie. Why? I knew exactly what was going to happen. I was laughing through most of the movie. Uh, the best part was the whole unscripted Tony Todd line in the movie. And, I'm not going to butcher it. I'm going to bring it up and read it word for word because it was so good. And it's so true what he said. But let me pull it up real fast because I don't want to get it wrong, is why I'm pulling it up. Dun dun dun. Once it all catches up. No, it was a very good line, and it was very awesome, and it was unscripted. That was the best part of the whole thing. Um, where he says, "I intend to enjoy the life I have left, and I suggest you do the same. Life is precious. Enjoy every single second." As he walks out the door. Um, but that was unscripted, and they left it in, so that was very cool of them to do. And they didn't have to even put it in there, but it was just so to the point about life that it is precious. We're not promised tomorrow, ever, you know, which is, we are not immortal as some people think we are. And, for him to just, because he was dying of cancer at this point in time, and he knew he didn't have much time left, and not too long after this filming, he did pass away. So, or during the editing stage or whatever, he unfortunately did pass away. And so this was his last performance, from what I understand. And so it was just very poignant for him to say that, life is precious, enjoy every single second. Um, so, but yeah, that was very cool. I mean, that was about the only highlight of the entire movie, unfortunately. And the rest of it was just, like the girlfriend said, it was too rushed. It was too this, to that. Whereas before, you know, the whole, sorry, I got to check something. All right, the whole premonitions in the first films would go, they would play out like they were supposed to, and then all of a sudden, then it would start happening. Well, this just was rush, 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 through the whole show. And then there was a lot more comedy involved than in the previous films. Uh, so I don't know, what they were thinking, what they were trying to do, but they fell, in my opinion, they fell way flat short on the whole thing. So, uh, and it just wasn't cool. The whole movie just didn't have a good feel to it. Um, I mean, there was good blood effects, as far as splatter effects going on, and things like that. But and then they tried to play off a lot of their previous uh, death scenes. How people died, the log truck, and things of that nature in this film. And then if you watch the end credits, they're just showing you that, hey, this movies are going to go on for forever, because there's this whole map in the movie. If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, but there's a whole map in the movie that shows, the people that survived at this specific date, at this specific time, that shouldn't have, because of the tragedy that was supposed to happen. Well, her grandmother, Iris, does this whole map of everybody that was on that uh, spot that she saved. And so at that point in time, she started following the deaths of everybody that that supposedly was going to die from there. Well, all these people had kids, and they weren't supposed to. So all of their kids died in some tragic accident, some way. So she has this whole thing, all the way up to her family tree line. Well, at the end of the movie, in the credits, they've got this penny, and if you haven't seen the movie, go look up the spoilers and all that stuff. Um, you can see what the penny means, represents. But it's rolling down this bloodline, basically. And basically, what they're telling you is that, hey, we can make these movies last for forever. And if they do, I hope they do a better job than Bloodlines. Um, because, again, Bloodlines fell way, way short for me. I did not like it. Again, I was laughing through most of the movie. And which for most horror movies, I'm not laughing through most of them. I'm into it. I'm digging it. You know, this is cool vibe. But it was on a recommendation as well from her sister, and I'm questioning my girlfriend's sister now, mental faculties. uh, but no, I mean, entertainment value is there. It's got good character development, those type things. But as far as a Final Destination movie, it fell short for me. I didn't like it, 100%. Would I watch it again? Of course, I would watch all of them together. Um, and you know, most of the Final Destinations after number three, just like most sequel films that carry on this long, start to get hokey, at a certain point. And anything like Nightmare on Elm Street, anything after Dream Warrior, kind of sucked. Uh, Friday the 13th, anything after 3D, kind of sucked. Especially the space one, X, or 10 as it goes. Halloween, anything after the third one, eh. After Season of the Witch, who cares? You know, Including the last two, which had her daughter in it, and then her and her daughter at the very end. You know, and then the reboots. I just don't understand the reboots. Don't stop with the reboots. Quit making reboots of movies. Let the original stand on their own. Come up with your own idea. Make it a continuation of the story. Quit trying to reinvent the wheel, if you will. Um, that's what I liked about Hellraiser. Even though there was a female Pinhead in the new Hellraiser from Hulu, it was a standalone story. It wasn't, hey, we're rebooting with a female character of Pinhead. This is a completely different character than the previous Pinhead, and it was a continuation of the story. So I enjoyed it. It was bloody, it was gory. Um, it wasn't campy or hokey. It was a well done movie for the Hellraiser franchise. Whereas some of the other ones kind of sucked, especially the one that didn't star. There was a couple that didn't star the original Pinhead, and I can't remember his name, and I apologize for that. But um, but yeah, they were just like shit, 100%. And have I watched them? Of course I've watched them. I love Hellraiser because I love Clive Barker's work. You know, and anything Clive Barker I'm into. His writing is phenomenal. It's better than Stephen King. Take it up for what it is. Stephen King's been around a long time. In fact, he's got a new movie coming out, um, The Walker or something like that, about a game contest that if you stop walking for more than 30 seconds or something like that, you die. Saw the preview. The next movie that I that we do want to see is Weapons. It comes out August 8th, I think. That one looks really good. Uh, it's about a whole classroom of missing kids, and it looks pretty cool. I mean, the previews could be all the good stuff in the whole thing. You know, unfortunately, there are some movies that are like that. They give you all the good stuff in the previews, and then you get to the movie and it's just like, wow, this sucks. You know, you're left wondering, you know, why you came to the movie at that point in time. Kind of like Final Destination Bloodlines. Um, and then the next one is Honey Don't. I think it's a thriller, if you will, uh, comedic thriller that comes out August 22nd. I'm kind of looking forward to that one. It's more of a thriller drama, if you will. So not up my alley per se, but it looked good in the previews. Once again, because there's some good violence, there's some good characters in it, you know, and so I think it'll be a pretty good fun film, you know, a comedic film, if you will. So I'm looking forward to that one too. And I'm sure there's some other ones that are before August. You know, I mean, here we are almost in July. What do we got? 2 days left in this month. You know, today and tomorrow, and then boom, surprise, July. You know, girlfriend's birthday, my son's birthday. You know, his heavenly birthday, my son's heavenly birthday. So, you know, those type things. And you know, I'll be throwing a little bit of a celebration of life for him. You know, and that's how it has to be. You know, he passed on at 17 a long time ago in 2009. So we're coming up on nearly 20 years of him being gone from this earth. You know, which sucks because you always want to reach out to your kids. You know, and he's not here to reach out to. You know, so I reach out to him every day in my own way. So, but you know, it's life. That's where that Tony Todd, you know, statement comes into play. Life is precious. It's not we don't get those opportunities all the time. So live every day. Live every second of every day. You know. Try to do something cool. Try to, you know, we can't take all this shit with us. All this stuff that's on my walls. All the stuff that's in this office. You know, I can't take it with me. Would I rent or would I buy a train car and put all the shit in it and get buried with it? Of course, you know, because it's not. I mean, I can take it with me at that point in time, but you know, and deny people the satisfaction of having any of the stuff that's in my house. But you know why? It's just stuff. You know, if the house burnt down today, yeah, I would lose a lot of stuff. I would lose a lot of cool stuff, but um, quippy. That's funny. Have you ever given a wedgie? Of course. Back in my day, wedgies were the norm. You know, you would give everybody atomic wedgies, or those are the ones that you pull them up over the people's heads. I mean, we're talking the 70s and 80s here. You know, when it, especially from all the movies that you got to see, Porky's and all the Revenge of the Nerds and stuff like that. You know, go watch those. Those had atomic wedgies in there. You know, and you know you would cut people in half with their underwear because everybody wore the tidy whities back then. You know, there was none of this boxer shorts or designer underwear that snugged close to the body. It can it can go over the head if you pull it hard enough. I mean, at that point in time, you're ripping the underwear, unfortunately. But no, it's true. Go look it up. It was called the atomic wedgie. A normal wedgie, you just pulled it up, and you know, while they're walking, you pull their underwear, and it just kind of went up about midway on their back. The rest of the time, you took double hand and yoinked that sucker up. I mean, sports guys did it all the time, you know, because we were cool at that point in time of life. But no, it was just a back in the 70s and 80s. It was a bullying factor, and you know, it's not recommended, you know, these days. Just like swirlies, go look up a swirly from the 70s and 80s. Um, actually, have I actually seen that? I've seen that. I've done that. I was one of them kids too. It never happened to me though. People were kind of afraid of me in school. I had height on myself. I wasn't very big back in high school, but I've bulked out since then. Even my coach was like, "Where did all this bulk come from?" Well, number one, you had me playing in the wrong position, coach. I should have been one of your wide receivers, you know, or a tight end. But you had me playing fucking line, and I was about 178 pounds soaking wet, going up against um, 280-pound guys, or 300-pound guys, and so I did a lot of cut blocking in high school and middle school for football because I was one of the smallest guys on the line. Me and Larry Hoskins, poor guy. But no, I mean, what you did when you did it in school or you did it on the field while you're playing football or basketball or whatever. Just walk up to the person, grab them inside the shorts, and pull. You know, and there goes that wedgie. So I mean, like I said, go look it up, Quippy. It's not hard to find. Um, you can find clips on YouTube of wedgies. Especially go watch Revenge of the Nerds, or like I said, Porky's, or things like that. Those are some hilarious comedies, um, especially from the 80s. And most of your 80s movies had a wedgie in there somewhere, or again a swirly, where you dunk somebody's head in the toilet and flushed it. That's what a swirly is. Again, never happened to me because people were kind of scared of me back in school. Uh, I hit one guy so hard in football, he quit football. Um, no, it's true. Go look it up. I'm serious. You got Google. Go look it up. Swirlies and wedgies, atomic wedgies and swirlies. Yeah, they were they were the real deal, man. Or ma'am, I'm not sure. I'm assuming you're, and see that's where it happens when I assume. I make an ass out of you and me. Uh, but no, it's all true. I mean, some of the stuff you hear that you think is made up is most likely true, and that those two are true. The swirly and the atomic wedgie, or just a plain wedgie. All of those are true derivatives of life. You know. Okay, I kind of figured you were, so that's why I went with the dude first. I'm just making sure. With some of these names out here, you can never tell. So, um, but I appreciate it. No, I appreciate your questions because I mean those are real questions from back in the day. I mean, like I said, the '60s, '70s, and '80s. That's when all that stuff became famous. You it started dying off probably in the early '90s, if I had to guess. But the wedgie, the swirly, all that stuff, kind of started dying out. But it's just like hacky sack. If you don't know what hacky sack is, where you've got this little bean bag that you're kicking with your foot, you know, that kind of became popular again in the mid 2000s. It's in a movie, well, no, a TV show, The New Girl. If you ever watched The New Girl, it's in there. And I've heard of a wedgie, but not swirly. No, it's all true, man. It wasn't the kindest of things for people to do, um, but for some reason everybody thought it was hilarious. Yes, an atomic wedgie. Yeah, that's the one that you go super high, you pull that sucker as hard as you can, you know, and my bruises. You pull that sucker up as hard as you can, and it's painful, you know, but everybody laughed about it, even the person that got it most of the time. But it wasn't the kind thing to do. It was the hazing of our day, if you will. We were not kind children, trust me. I mean, hell, we raised ourselves. We were the true latchkey generation. Uh, we didn't even have keys because most of the time our doors were already unlocked. When we got home, we didn't have to unlock the door ourselves because hey, we just turned the knob and walked right on in the house. You know, and then after we got our homework done, we disappeared for the night. We told our parents we're going here, but by the time the street lights came on, we'd already been to 10 other friends' houses. So if they called that house or went looking for us at that house, We probably weren't there. We were probably 10 places somewhere else. I mean, like I said, it wasn't, for us, it was hilarious, you know. I'm crying laughing. But, um, but for the person that happened to, not so much hilarious. Hello, Mr. Roy Joe Twinkle Toes Sparkle Butt Bradley Twilight Jr. The titty witties have to rip, no? And those were called titty twisters in our day. Wearing the tidy whities. Well, I'm glad you just woke up to join the show. But but yeah, atomic wedgies were not fun. And I want to say it is in Revenge of the Nerds. The tidy whities atomic uh, wedgie is in there, and maybe even in Porky's. I can't remember because Porky's had, was it just Porky's 1 and 2? I don't think they did a 3, did they? But there were several movies back in the day, back in the '80s, that had atomic wedgies and all that good stuff in there. So it'd be something fun to just watch and go look at. And I'm sure that there are pictures out there on the internet as well, you know, and because and it would be pictures, not not you know, there'd be people with pictures from, you know, like Polaroids and 35 millimeter film and stuff like that, instead of just JPEGs and digital images, you know, uh, if there was any in existence. Because that's the beauty of our childhood. We can tell you all this stuff happened, that we nearly died a million times over, but there's no proof because we weren't running around with cameras in our hands. We weren't running around with cell phones in our hands because they weren't even invented yet. You know, you had the point and click cameras, video cameras, you know, and then you had the VHS cameras and the beta cameras and all that stuff. But as far as us, the kids out there, we didn't have that shit. We were out there having fun. We were out there, like Tony Todd said, live every day, you know, every second like it's your last, basically. And somebody got filtered. Somebody got filtered on the comments. Who was it? Was it you, Roy? Or was it you, Quippy? Did you put something negative in there? If you if you just type something in, go ahead and retype it in a different way, without a keyword that you used, because we just got a. I didn't, but you did. No, not me this time. Okay, so Quippy, it was probably you, I guess. Maybe, I'm not sure 100%. But it says some comments in the live was filtered or were filtered to protect the community's experience. I hope I didn't put something negative. Well, if you type something prior to that one, go ahead and retype it in a different way, because there are certain keywords that get flagged. Um, I'm a good Roy boy this morning. Yeah, because you just woke up. You're still groggy. I, am I seeing this right? Love you, man. Um, but no, sometimes some keywords get flagged whenever you type them out. Depends on what you're typing out as well. So I can say a lot of things on here like fuck and ass and things like that and not get flagged. But I say a specific keyword like E, row, and tick, and I can get flagged and shut down easy. So you put all that together, you can figure out what the word is. I was wondering if anyone else heard of an atomic wedgie. Oh, okay. Roy, have you heard of an atomic wedgie? I know you've heard of wedgie and swirly and titty twisters and things like that. Um, I didn't know you if no, I didn't make this up. No, no, that's I did not make these up. The atomic wedgie's been around for a long time, and you know, and that was just taking the wedgie to an extreme. See right there. Yes, I have, and the titty twister was one of the worst too because your chest was all black and blue, depending on Now I did get some of those, from my sports buddies, you know, and they're not kind because you get some black and blue right around here, and I have given a few out as well. So see, there you go, Quippy. It's a real deal. I'm telling you, it's a real deal. Um, Real deal, Holyfield, and they weren't, and they seriously were not kind. Um, so you were always constant. At least me, I was always constantly watching my back. Um, like he said, he's taken a few as well. Do you remember giving one? Are you talking to me or him? Because I gave a few, back in my day. Um, as a high schooler, we thought it was cool in the '80s, you know, and we just wanted to laugh, because life wasn't so serious back then in the '70s and '80s as it is now, and we were looking for fun, we were looking for laughs, and to us that was hilarious, titty twisters and wedgies and atomic wedgies and swirlies, all that stuff was hilarious to us back in the day. Now today it would be bullying, and it would be um, considered a hazing act, and you would get expelled for those type of acts today. Uh, but you know, heaven forbid you watch the kid walk in with a pew pew in school and they're okay. You know, I mean, hell, most of us, if we had a truck back in high school, had a rifle, you know, right behind our head, and it stayed in the truck all day long, out in the parking lot, you I got and gave some to my 5 older brothers. Well, there you go. See, he was giving some out, and like he said, he got dealt some himself, and he, he got some wedgies and some atomic wedgies, and I'm pretty sure he got some titty twisters too. So, and Zach, Trump is a sitting president. He is not a king. So there you go. He is a sitting president. So right, like how'd you get away with it? You just did it. A lot of things didn't get reported in school. Okay, um, because you went in and just grabbed and did it and done. You walked on. I mean, you you laughed about it as you walked on by because that person's sitting there trying to put his underwear back in place and get it out of his ass crack, and and those type things, and it was just hilarious. That's how you did it, and most of the time it never got reported. The only time you ever got in trouble for stuff like that is if you got caught by a teacher while it happened. Just like when I got swats in school, it was my own fault because I was throwing rocks and things like that, or climbing poles in the school and things like that, and you know So, a lot of my SWATs came on my own accord. They don't give SWATs anymore, which they need to. And, you know, that would curve a lot of disciplinary issues in school. You know, instead of, well, you get to go to the principal's office, or you get to go sit out in the hallway, or, this, that, or the other. No, give that person a SWAT right in front of the class like it used to happen. You know, you would be bent over that teacher's desk, and here comes the paddle. Well, pow! And it usually had holes in it, so get that nice airflow, get that sting a little bit more. But today that's harassment or corporal punishment, and we can't have that. Our kids are good kids, and no, your kids are little shits, okay? Because you cater to their every whim. But did everyone not wear jocks in gym? Not. I mean, you. Some people did not wear what we used to call the broken underwear, the jock straps. Um, they wore the jock strap with the underwear. You know, some people just didn't like their junk just hanging out there. So you had the underwear and then the jock strap over the top of that. So, you know, um, so yeah, you had the occasional ones, and you could make a wedgie out of a jock strap. Trust me, because then you got it twofold. Because if you got a hairy ass, that jock strap is coming in, grabbing that hair and pulling that hair as it's getting tighter, going up the crack. So you had a double whammy. You were what is it? I guess shaving their butt crack for them if you pulled hard enough. And then the jock strap coming back on their stuff. You know, you could make some hilarities happen. I'm sorry, what? How could you make that happen? You, again, you just do it real fast. Because I mean, if you're walking around with just your jockstrap flopping in the breeze in the locker room, anything could happen. We used to do cup checks to make sure people were wearing cups. It's kind of like the nut check that you see in Final Destination Bloodlines. You know, and you walk up by somebody and cup check. And you yell cup check, and if you're not wearing a cup, sorry, buddy. So yeah, we made some impotent people back in the day. You know, they weren't having children later on in life. Oh lordy, oh those memories, those memories. But you know, you also created some vile villains later on in life too. So we did that too. But Jockstrap Wedgie is not real, dude. I wish I could go back in time and take my camera with me and film some of the stuff that we did as kids. You would be shocked and amazed and surprised, appalled, scared even. No, we just had fun as kids, and that was part of life. Wedgies and jockstrap wedgies and all that good stuff. Excuse me. And appalled, yes. Yeah, 100%. This generation today would not have survived our generation period. Um, we did so many things that again could have put us below dirt on a regular basis. Um, that it's not even funny, with our own lives because we were invincible, you know, and we pushed it to the limit sometimes, you know, crawling through culverts that are right here on your shoulders as you're crawling through this tunnel, this drainage ditch, and it started out over your head, and then it got down to this tunnel that is basically just as wide as you are, you know, and oh, no chance. I'm 10 years out of high school, and these things did not. Oh, they happened. Trust me, they happened. Because Roy, who's on here, I think he's still on here, is roughly my age. He's a little bit older than I am since he's a January baby, and I'm a September, born in '71. You know, he lived through the same stuff that I did, and he can attest to these things. You know, and then you got Red Panda Bean right here. He's not as old as I am, but I'm sure he's lived through some wedgies and swirlies and titty twisters and atomic wedgies and things like that. And so much appreciated for the likes and the roses and things of that nature. I've got the haunted bell out there right now. That's pretty cool. They haven't had a haunted bell in that I've seen ever, but I'll put the spooky stuff out there. Okay, what's the worst wedgie you have? Me or that I gave? You know, the atomic wedgie is pretty bad. You know, because you're you're literally giving somebody a titty twister up the ass. Because I mean, you pull that underwear so tight and so high, you know, you're showing everybody if they've got skid marks or not. You know, and that the atomic is the worst, 100%. You know, and because not only is it pulling the back, it's pulling the top section of that underwear band down towards the junk as well. So you're getting front, back, everything in between. You know, as you're pulling that underwear up over the head. You know, and that's the worst. Um, we never got into like hooking them up to a car with the underwear and driving off with it and letting it rip it off. You know, we never did anything like that. That would have been the worst. Because would the underwear have broken, or would you have drugged that person down the road a little bit before realizing, hey, it didn't break? You know, and as they're skidding on their ass, down the street, doot, 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 going, ah! I, the atomic was the worst, 100%. And then sometimes you got the atomic and the swirly at the same time. Oh, you always did it to the class below you, the freshmen, the juniors, and or well, if you were a senior, you did it to the juniors and the sophomores. If you were a junior, you did it to the sophomores and the freshmen, and so on and so forth down the line. You know, and sometimes you did it to your own classmates, senior to senior. Because it was a rite of passage, if you will, and it's just how it went. I don't make the rules. It's just how it went. Because you did get, your bullies in school that, as you still do today, and they thought they were the tougher ones of the group, and it's just if you knew how to handle yourself, you were better off. Much appreciated for all the loves that are happening all over the place. The little heart above my head with the wavy arms, all that good stuff. But I appreciate it, man. That was the heart me, and but no, it's those type of things just were a regular occurrence, quippy, and you just had to roll with the punches sometimes because it's just like um, I don't know if you said you're 10 years out of high school. I don't know if you guys ever got into fights in school, but our fights were settled. You know, um, we would fight, one person would win, and you were friends. You know, everything was settled. Now you did have your rivals and things like that. You know, but uh, for the most part, once you fought and had it all handled, okay, water under the bridge. Let's move on with life. You know. Well, nowadays you get a fight and somebody pulls out something that shouldn't even be at school. You know, or come back later. You know, and it's just not the way it was back in our day. back in the 70s and 80s. Not how things were handled. Like I said, most of us had some kind of a pew pew in our car, and that's where it stayed. Because right after high school, we were either going home to do homework or we were going out hunting. You know, yeah, I got in some fights in high school, whooped up on them. Well, good. You know, I mean, as long as you can hold your own, that's the best. You know, and it's just like when I joined the military back in '04, um, basic training in 2005, and all the stuff that you had to do against other uh, uh, military people in the military at basic training. All the army soldiers and stuff like that. You showed your worth. You know, but the wedgies just weren't a thing. No, today wedgies and titty twisters and things like that don't happen. I'm sure the cup checks, like you said, they still do. But there's a lot of things that died out because they considered that hazing or straight up real bullying, you know, instead of just words or people typing shit on a keyboard, you know. So, um, but yeah, no, they were painful. Um, but no, just like the fights in school, everybody would just gather around, and create a circle around the whole fight. And if a teacher did happen to come out, you know, not everybody was punished. It was just the people right there. Um, I came here to promote myself, but I'm staying for your experience. What kind of stories you got? I served 816. I was Afghanistan '06 to '07. Got IED'd. My truck did. So I scrambled my brain pan. Um, let's see. I had a smoldering body within 5 feet of me from a convoy attack for a Black Ops situation that screwed up one of the Black Ops guys. We had to take control of that situation. A couple of different firefights, car bombs, all that good stuff. I've got lots of stories when it comes to military in just 1 year of being in Afghanistan. Um, and it's just like being in Katrina 9 days after basic training. And pretty much, I think the only time I got was from my dad. He thought he was funny with a titty twister or um, fuck. Now I'm sorry I asked. Thank you for your service. Well, thank you for yours. You know, no, we saw a lot of shit when we were in Afghanistan, and you know, oh wedgie, and it it was wartime. You never knew who was going to be your friend day to day when you rolled out the gate because we were Sec 4. We were outside the wire every day, taking a convoy somewhere, and we got our fair share of lighting ups. When it came to small arms fire, RPGs, and things like that. So yeah, it wasn't fun. The next deployments got it worse than we did for some reason, but we were kind of the scourge of Afghanistan when we were there. Delta Company, Second Platoon, well, Delta Company in general, 45th Infantry. So, but no, I get your wedgies. Wedgies. Your dad. How old is your dad? Just roughly, probably my age because I'll be 54 this year. You know, 53 right now. So in a few months I'll be 54. So I know I look older than that, but it's all good. Thanks for your service. Didn't realize you served. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was Army National Guard, but I was pretty much active duty the whole time because, like I said, 9 days out of basic, I was in Katrina, kicking down doors, looking for bodies of anybody that perished. That couldn't get out of their beds or whatever, or out of their house. Uh, we were there a month and 5 days. Dad's got to be around 60. Okay, so he's roughly my age, just by a little bit more. So, um, And then less than 6 months later, we were in Afghanistan, 17-month deployment, 3 month train up, one year boots on ground, 2 month train up in Louisiana after getting back from Afghanistan. And then less than a month later, I was becoming a trainer to help train troops that were getting ready to go overseas. And let me see if this helps here, Mr. Roy. Putting it on if the Wi-Fi will work. We'll see. Um, See if that works a little better for you. I don't know if it will or not, but maybe it will. And then that's how I spent my 6 years of service for the National Guard. Was pretty much active duty because the last 2 years of my service, I was a trainer. So, have you seen Manhunt on Netflix? No, I have not. I don't think. This sounds familiar. I know I've probably seen it scrolling through Netflix, trying to find something to watch, and not finding anything that I really am interested in because it's just like, passe, redone, reboot, all that good stuff. Now I like my old horror, so I watch a lot of that, and the hokier the horror back in the '60s, '70s, '80s, even the '40s and '50s. I love that stuff. There's an episode series on finding Osama. Yeah, I've seen that one. Um, Not seen it, but I've seen it on there. It's one that we're gonna watch together, my girlfriend and I. And yeah, you know, we got to see some of the Osama bin Laden compounds while we were in Afghanistan, uh, that were shut down and taken over back by the local indigenous people of Afghanistan. And so we got to visit some of those. I got pictures, of us in front of those properties and things like that. Because he had several there in Afghanistan, since he was the big wig at the time. And but yeah, we've got all kinds of pictures, from Afghanistan and stuff like that. So it was fun times, because most of it was okay, you know, but you feared for your life, every day. Mortar attacks, or car bombs, or IEDs, or whatever could have happened at any point in time. And so you were constantly on guard, no matter even walking to the bathroom, you from your B hut. You had to constantly be on guard, constantly on the ready for anything to happen. But yeah, no, but yeah, but look that stuff up, man. Go watch Revenge of the Nerds. Go find Revenge of the Nerds, watch it. Go find Porky's and watch it. You're old enough for both of them. Being 10 years removed from high school. Oh, so you're in your late 20s now, so yeah, you're definitely old enough for those. Um, you might not think they're funny, but we thought they were hilarious whenever they came out, and because they still are. Just like Spaceballs. I mean, great movie. Oh, if you want another hilarious one, Ice Pirates. That's a good one. It's quite humorous and hilarious. Um, a take on Romeo and Juliet called Tromeo and Juliet. American Pies are fun. Did you ever get a wedgie? Yeah, I got a few wedgies. Like I said, not many people tried with me because of my height. Um, I was already pretty much max height in high school at 6'2". Um, I just didn't have the bulk on me. Like I said, I was 178 pounds soaking wet. And now I'm sitting right around 230, you know. And one day at band camp, yes. And this one time at band camp, yes, Roy, good job. But American pies are funny. Uh, Warm apple pie. Oh, but that's all the recent stuff, Roy. I'm talking about the stuff back in the days, like Revenge of the Nerds, Porky's, uh, Blazing Saddles, um, Spaceballs, uh, Ice Pirates. I mean, the funny stuff back in the day. A lot of people would be appalled by today. You know, cancel culture. Well, let's get rid of this stuff. That's why I'm kind of surprised they're making a Spaceballs 2. And I'm kind of surprised that Rick Moranis is coming back as the Dark Helmet, since he got out of acting, you know. But leave it to Mel Brooks to bring him back in that iconic role of Dark Helmet, uh, the Darth Vader of the time, if you will, of the show. And no, it's all fun and games. I mean, you got to live life like Tony Todd said in this Final Destination Bloodlines movie. Live life every second. You know, have fun with life. Live life to the fullest. You know, it's we take life for granted a lot of times. You know, I wish my son was still here. You know, he joined the military, and I wanted to see what his career was going to be like. You know, how far he was going to take it. Would he have retired from it? You know, he'd be getting close to retirement age. You know, but he died at an ATV accident. You know, at 17 years of old. You know, and so you always wonder those what ifs scenarios. You know, and you know he was full of life, full of love, and you know he wanted to do good for people because he was going to be an EMT and a firefighter. You know, plus he was already a combat medic. He was already drilling with his unit. You know that he was going to be with, and so I wish my mom was still here, buddy. Now I get that. You know, I would like to talk to my dad too. You know, he died when I was a kid, and I say that, but you know, he wasn't one of those dads that was ever present in reality. Those type things, but you know, he was still my dad. You know, and then your grandpa and your grandma and great grandmother. You know, those type things. But you know, it's life. That's the sad part about life is that again, it's not promised to us. You know, I could walk out my door, I could get hit by a tree branch as I walk out the door, and there it is. This was my last live show. You know, I'm not. I'm gonna knock on this real live edge wood here, and that's not gonna happen because I do trim limbs on a regular basis to make sure that that doesn't happen. But no, you gotta have fun with life. Life is meant to be fun. It's not meant to be so tragic and humdrum. You know, you get a bill in the mail you weren't expecting. Well, that's the damn it. That's my life right there. I'm screwed. You know, no. Okay, pay the bill. You know, I'm dealing with that on some bills right now. You know, and so it's just like okay, so we'll go from there. You know, and you know, life is worth living. I'm still stung up that you can't get someone's titties, tidy whities. Uh, yeah, no, you try it, man. They're tidy whities above their head. No, you do it, man. You can do it. Be careful with extension cords, buddy. Well, I don't have to worry about that. It's the buildings that they're in, you know, for that one. But no, go try it. I'm sure. Do you have a brother or sister? You can go try that with them. I mean, unfortunately, if your sister wears thongs, you know, then it's going to look a little weird. Um, this little band across her forehead, and then this long string going down her crack. You know, those type things. Um, you know, it's. But no, you find some of your friends and just try one. You know, and see what happens. Oh, I think you're going to get hit. Is what I think. Um, but no, atomic wedgies were a thing. I mean, they were very painful to the person because you were ripping underwear, you were exfoliating their skin, if you will, with their underwear, and then you got to see who wiped really good or not, you know, in school, uh, because that brown streak was going all the way up their back into the neck, you know, as you put that underwear over their head, you know. It's not recommended in today's society. he's talking about is we had a fire with an extension cord in my chicken coop area where my brooding box is. Weird question, sorry, but did everyone wear tidy whities then? Pretty much. Either you were going commando or you had tidy whities. There was no other options back in the day per se. Boxer shorts, I don't even remember when boxer shorts were invented, but probably about 85% of the people that you encountered were tidy whities, you know. And again, I don't remember when people started transitioning over into boxers. It might have been the mid to late 80s, if I had to guess. Um, but you had compression shorts coming out in the 80s and 90s. Again, I don't know the history of underwear, you know, but all I remember is that most people, whenever you did an atomic wedgie or a wedgie, it was tidy whities, you know. I'm trying to think if we ever had anybody that had colored ones at any point in time. I can't remember. You know, I can't remember anybody having colored underwear at the time, as we do now with designer stuff like Dr. Pepper or you know Little Mermaid or stuff like that on your underwear, you know, or underoos. I mean, underoos were a thing, but that was when you were a kid, you know, and you're between 5 and 12 years old. You had your underoos, you know, and then you grew out of that into the tidy whities because your underoos were basically tidy whities with a character on them, you know, and like Spider-Man, Batman, you know, those type things. Any Marvel character was out there in tidy whities or in your underoos, and so those were always a cool thing to have, you know. And I don't know if you'd want to buy them off of eBay right now unless they were brand new, but um, Roy really loved thong underwear, you know, especially anything that was sparkle and lace. So we learned as a society, yes. But no, um, but yeah, no, life was just fun because in reality there was rules, but there was no rules. We made our own rules growing up. Like I said, we didn't lock the doors at night. We didn't lock the doors during the day. We would go for a week at a time on a vacation and leave the house unlocked and not worry about somebody breaking into the house. You know, I mean, at night we would have the windows open, the front door open with the screen door up, letting all the breeze go through the house with window fans in the windows and things like that. And but today, you try that shit, somebody's coming through your window or through your front door. You know, even if your screen door is locked, because what's that going to do? Oh, I can just cut the screen out. You know, and crawl through that window. But yeah, no, it's totally different worlds. Anything from 1900 to say 1995, roughly. Um, Totally different world. You know, I mean, I granted people started locking their doors later on in the early night. I mean, there was a lot of people that did lock their doors. I'm not saying everybody unlocked kept their doors unlocked, but the majority of people that I knew in our neighborhood never locked their door. You know, so the underpants supposed to rip for the head wedgie. It just depends. Something's gonna rip. Okay, the leg straps are gonna rip. The underwear itself is gonna rip. The soft material, and then that band is gonna start to rip from the soft material as you're ripping it up. So sometimes it just rips the whole band off, and you just go ahead and put it all over their head. You know, basically over their neck too, and they're like, you know, trying to get it off their throat. So you know, it all just depends. I mean, it depends on how long they've had the underwear. Is what it boils down to. If it's an older pair, it rips quick, and you know, say, dude, you really need some new underwear. I'm helping you out here. You've had these things for like 5 years, you know. Just like some of the shirts in here, they're older than some of you guys that I have. I've got a shirt from 2001. You know, and it's my club shirt with my Marvel characters on it. It's a bright red shirt with Wolverine right here at the front jumping out at you. It's got Colossus, Storm, Rogue, all them people in the background. I played I played baseball and was in little league and middle school. I played in school. I did track, I did basketball and football because technically that's all we offered. And then in my senior year, they offered baseball again, but I was already burnt out from baseball from my stepdad being my coach. And so I once they started that program up, I was like, no, you guys can keep that. And I won a lot of awards in sports, and because I was a fast little booger. And so where did the wedges? No, the wedges came in play in school. Screw sports. It came in school. We didn't have to worry about, you know, you did have to worry about it in sports, especially, when you're in down position in football, because you would get the jerk that came up behind you in practice and pull the wedgie up, and stuff like that. Basketball, same difference. You didn't wear a cup in basketball. And so you had those long ass shorts back in the day. Well, technically you didn't have the long ass shorts. You had the short shorts in basketball back in my day. And what they call the Ranger shorts today. Uh, and so you would get the wedgie at that point in time, and sometimes with the shorts as well. Um, but no, just walking down the hallway in school, you got your books in hand as you're going to your locker or going to class or whatever, and next thing you know, whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. And so you never knew when it was going to happen. There wasn't a set rule, when it was going to happen, you know, and it's just like it could happen in class before the teacher walked in. Thanks for the roses, I appreciate it. And like, share, and follow as well. Send this out to the masses, to your friends. And what happened? A lot of things happened. We've been talking about a lot of things for the past hour and 12 minutes. And especially from the atomic wedgie to the normal wedgie to swirlies to titty twisters to, you know, just all the things that happened back in the 70s and 80s, especially the 80s is when most of that stuff started happening because you were mature. Yeah, right. That was the most immature shit to do to anybody. But that was technically our bullying of the day, if you will. Um, you find that weaker species than you. No, the atomic wedgie is completely real, dude. Um, I'm serious. Go look it up. I don't make this stuff up. You know, it's just a lot more painful than your normal wedgie. So up until this, yes, I get it. You hear a lot of things that your parents talk about that you think that can't be real. That can't be real. That could not have happened. It did. It did. There's just no proof of it. That's the thing that people can't grasp is that there's no proof of these things. You know, and it's just because of the time frame. And we didn't have phones glued to our hands because they weren't around yet. The only phone we had was what was hanging on the wall that had a 50-foot cord that you could drag outside and still talk on the phone, or drag to your bedroom and still talk on the phone, or it had a 100-foot cord, that you could drag all over the house, you know. And heaven forbid somebody unplugged that thing from the wall and you came unglued, you know, those type things. But and then whenever AOL came around, you're telling me Dad was probably gotten an atomic wedgie. I'm dead at that. Yes, your dad probably gave some. Your dad probably had some happen to him. You know, depending on if he was a Uh, a geek, a nerd, or a jock. You know, it all depends on where you were in life. You know, if you were the jock, and me, I was a jock goth, if you will, back in the day. Not so much now. He was pretty athletic. Okay, so he probably gave some more than he got some, but he probably did get some of his own. Um, but I was always in dark clothing. I had the long hair. I mean, literally, my hair was down to the small of my back. You know, way down here. You know, and and I had a big black duster that I wore, and I had some of the rocker boots back in the day, those push down style boots. And but yeah, I was always in dark clothing in school, so I was. Um, oh yeah, so he's way older than I am. So yeah, he's definitely in his 60s. If he was class of '82, he'd be closer to my brother's age. So my brother was class of '84. Is that right? No, '82 or '84 is my brother's age. So yeah. But no, it's I was the one that was most likely to end up in jail in school. If he's 60 pretending to be 40. Well, he's got to land those younger chicks. Uh, but no, I don't know why your dad's pretending to be 40. Now, some people want to keep their youth. I'm 53. I'll be 54 this year. In September. And I still do stuff like I was 20. And then I pay for it for a few days afterwards. You know, like I'm building a chicken coop right now because I homestead as well, and I lifted probably 300 and some odd pounds over my head, by myself, and just for the roof because it's made by two by sixes, and I built the frame, got it up on one side, and then lifted the other side and got it stabilized and all that good stuff. He caught a football one time. Well, awesome, Tommy, his dad. Um, so he was a footballer, a sportsman, an athletic guy. I was the one doing the hitting. I was defense. I mean, we played both ways, football or defense and offense. And unfortunately, I was on the line for both. I was a outside linebacker as well. Uh, but they like to put me over nose guard because I was quick and could get through the line pretty easy most of the time. Until people started double teaming me that were twice my size. Again, I was 178 pounds soaking wet, but um, going up against 280, 300-pound guys, And then once they started sandwiching me in between themselves, it was made it a little bit tougher. And but outside linebacker was pretty awesome, flying in there, hitting the quarterback and things like that. That was always fun. But then again, playing the line as a guard or a tackle was not where I should have been. I should have been a wide receiver with my speed. We probably would have won a lot more games because unfortunately, going against a 300 pounder at 178 pounds usually doesn't work out very well. You know, so but no, I had fun doing all the sports that I did. I really wish I would have been in different positions on the field, like a wide receiver or something like that. But excuse me, his stories are just short of the state championship. If that hadn't happened, I get that. We never made it to the championships. We sucked. Okay. Again, because of coach, he put us in the wrong positions, and because whenever you have two of your smallest guys that are fast, we should have been wide receivers, not linemen that could pull really fast to help that running back and all that shit. We should have been wide receivers, but no, we were Larry Hoskins and myself. We were linemen, you know, and it just didn't work out. The quarterback didn't have a chance. The running back didn't have a chance most of the time. I mean, we made plays. We won some games, but nothing championship worthy. So he was an Al Bundy story, is what you're talking about, from Married with Children, which is cool. I mean, at least he, you know, almost got to the championship. You know, but we never even got close. But once we graduated, about 3 or 4 years after that, our school did go to the championship. So you had the right players in the right places. And then, like I said, when Coach saw me at one of the reunions, football reunions, I think it was a 10 or 20 year reunion for the footballers. He was like, "Where'd this bulk come from?" I was like, "Well, that's what happens when you get out of high school and start working out more and things of that nature." But yeah, no, you just fill out once you get out of high school, and I bulked up, you know, but no, it's all good. I mean, sports are fun in school if you like sports. Now, if you're into the other academics like chess club or computer, the geek squad or whatever, that's cool too. We all have to have those specialties that we do. And that's why I talk about comic books and movies and my artwork and my comic books coming out and show you comic books that I pick up. Just like my Job 3 cover. This is the painting. This is the painting I did for that cover, right here. And you know, I've got it in print form, and I've got a canvas available as well of this cover. And then I've got the actual physical comic books running around here somewhere that I don't know where the hell they are right this second. That he sent me. Uh, they're here somewhere. I thought I had them close. You know what? Here they are. They're close. They're right here. Bum, bum, bum. Right there. So these are on actual comic books right here. This is my cover with the job right there. As you can see, the job number 3 right there. Okay. Oh, I'd buy your comic book. You clearly got a sense of humor. Nice colors. Reminds me of the Indiana Pacers. Not really. The Indiana Pacers have some sucky colors, dude. Go with the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's the best one to go with. You know why? Because they won the championship over the pacifiers. Did I? Hopefully I didn't send her the one that he signed. Or did I put that one somewhere? Oh. If I did, I did. It's all good. It's all fun and games. So my comic book isn't ready yet, but I do have, you know, this one, and I do have my Psycho Sal, which is a horror comic book based in 1980s New Orleans. 2 FBI agents hunting down a serial killer in New Orleans. I did a cover for it, number 3. Again, a number 3 cover. And um, I have both of those available. You know, best colors of all time is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thank you, Roy. I appreciate that. Roy loves the Oklahoma City Thunder, just like the Oklahoma Sooners and Texas Rangers, all those good teams. He's got some good taste, and the Dallas Cowboys, of course. And what did you say right there? I looked it up. Turns out Eli Manning gave his brother Peyton an atomic weapon. See, there you go. See, I'm not making this shit up. You know, a lot of people think I make shit up. I mean, I do make some shit up. That's why I'm a comic book artist as well. Um, because I can make shit up. But that is not made up. So see, it's true. It's real. It's real. It's a real boy. No, no, I'm telling you, those things are true. You know, I do wish we had footage of that stuff back in the day. You know, because this is a time when schools in the hallways didn't have cameras. You know, quippy, that's funny, and those type things. You didn't have cameras in the hallways of schools like they do now. You didn't have metal detectors at the front doors like you do now. You know, and Yes, I'm your dad, Chubby. But uh, those type things, I wish we had footage of. I wish we had film of them, or even just pictures of them. Now, I'm sure there's some floating around. You know, especially if you watch some of those older movies, like I talked about, Revenge of the Nerds, Porky's, things like that. Those are out there. You and to see an atomic wedgie or just a wedgie in general. The swirlies were relevant in a lot of movies as well, where you would see the the kid's head getting put in the toilet and then them flushing it. Um, Plus a wedgie at the same time. It's double whammy right there. And it always happened that it was the poor kid that was at the urinal in the school that got the group of guys coming in. They're just like, oh, easy pickings. His underwear's already down. Those type of things. Well, I've seen a wedgie. My dad made sure of that. But just not atomic. He was being kind to you. He didn't want to rob you of your manhood so early. Uh, no, I mean, I'm sorry that happened to you from your own father. Um, but I'm glad you've got a relationship like that with your dad, because that's fun. Whenever you can joke around and kid around with your parents, you know. Was it during school or after high school that this happened? That there's the question for you, Quippy. Um, because yeah, because that's and Roy's laughing because that tells me a lot about your dad. If he did it while you were in high school, I can't lie. The answer would be both. Okay, so there you go. He both. Okay, so he was just giving you that rite of passage. It was the Greeks sending their boys off to the Isle to become men. That was your rite of passage. That was your Greek Isle right there, getting two different wedgies at two different times. So be like, hey, Dad, can I give you an atomic wedgie? And then just do it. Of course, his boxer shorts might break. I don't know. That is, if he wears boxer shorts, I don't know. You know. So, but no, it was a different world back then when we grew up. And and so, oh, but trust he's gonna learn about the atomic at Thanksgiving. That's hilarious. Now, hopefully, he doesn't go commando. Because then you're gonna get a handful of ass hair. You know, which would be gross. All in and of itself. Probably the next time I'll be back. Well, we go live every other day. So right now it's all the odd days right now. So today's the 29th, Sunday. The next show will be on July 1, and then it'll be July 3rd, right before just 4th of July. And you can tell us, you can come on with us. We try to come on at 4:12 in the morning because 4:12 Productions, um, the art of Monty Anderson. And I am a voice actor. I am an actor as well as an artist, illustrator, and military guy. And so we talk about everything here: atomic wedgies, titty twisters, IEDs, firefights, artwork, comic books, my comic book cover right here on the Job 3. Um, and so, we talk about a little bit of everything here. And I love these questions from Quippy here because they've been awesome. He's learned a lot, and he's going to have to do a lot to his father later. uh, Hopefully you don't break some things down south on your dad when it happens, other than the underwear. Uh, would you rather gain muscle or gain Tyler? I'm not sure what you're talking about on that last part. That eagers, but always gain some muscle. That way you can lift up 300 pounds worth of wood over your head, like I did just the other day working on my chicken coop. And it's fun. It's painful, but it's fun. It means you're alive. I wish I had muscle mass in school while I was in high school. I was a scrawny kid. I had no real muscle mass in school. So, had I had this muscle mass that I do now, where I was bench pressing 300 pounds in Afghanistan, that would have been cool in high school. Because then it would have been easier to block some of those 300 pounders, that were coming at me on the line. Since I was 178 pounds, 158 pounds, depending on the time of the year. And, all that good stuff. But I appreciate everybody being here with us, talking about atomic wedgies, titty twisters, swirlies, different things that happened back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, back in school. And then you can go find such fine films that have these in them, like Revenge of the Nerds, and also Porky's 1 and 2. But yeah, there was a lot of movies that actually had swirlies and titty twisters and atomic wedgies and wedgies in general in them. So it's not hard to find. Just watch any movies, comedy especially from the 80s, and you're going to be able to find at least one scene that has it in there. And we need someone to vouch for the atomic wedgies existence. Well, you already did with Roy. Roy's already said that he has seen that happen, and he's given a few. But you just read it for Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. So how much more vouching do you need? You just read it on Google. I mean, come on, man. Come on, Quippy. You've got to believe. Have faith. Have faith out there. But no. Watch my page. I'm going to go try and find some later on and see if I can't dig one up somewhere. But I mean, I'm sure that Google or even Wikipedia can tell you what an atomic wedgie is. And it's not made up stuff, unfortunately. It is true life, and it's true painful. I never got an atomic wedgie. I got some wedgies during my day, but never an atomic. So I do have faith. It's just the visual evidence. We are like, of course, because like I said, back in our day, we didn't have cameras in our hands. We didn't have phones glued to our hands 24/7. We had BMX bike handles in our hands. Hardly ever using that brake. It was always our feet. And but yeah, we didn't have the cameras that we do today. We had Polaroids, and we had some film cameras, and we had some video recorders and things like that. But those things were bulky and monstrosities that you didn't want to carry around with you on a regular basis. So the only time those ever got really broke out was during home parties and things like that. And so, but yeah, no, it was grand times back then. I mean, just like I said, you would be appalled with half the stuff that we did and got away with as kids. Everybody runs at a safe distance from fireworks, not us. We had Roman candle fights and the cone fights, and my brother fucked his hand up, because he was holding one of those the cones that blew up in his hand. So he was bandaged up for a while. I mean, it didn't screw it up, but it caused some burns and stuff like that. But he got better. She turned you into a newt? A newt? I got better. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. My namesake. No, just kidding. Monty Python and the Flying Circus. But no. So much stuff that we did back in those days was not documented. Undocumented proof. If you have God, you have all you need. All right. CJ, cool. I'll have to report back after Thanksgiving. According to you, it won't be my dad's first time. Well, I'm not saying. I don't know. You know, I'm sure your dad gave quite a few, and I'm not talking about just atomic wedgies. I'm talking about just wedgies in general. And he probably got a few wedgies himself, you know, from his buddies and things like that. Because for whatever reason, that's what you did as friends, you know. And then the titty twisters for sure, you know, and of course cup checks and things like that. And and so, you know, I'm not saying that he got an atomic wedgie, but he probably knows what one is, you know. So, but yeah, please report. Please give us a report. And like I said, I'll try and go find some pictures of an atomic wedgie if I can, and hook them with my broadcast, or put them on my live, or on my page down here at 412 Productions, and say, hey, this is what we talked about today. But I appreciate each and every one of you being here with us, liking, sharing, and following all this stuff. Oh, I got him good a couple times in high school. He knows. But you just got wedgies. You didn't give him a wow, pull it all the way up over his head, listening to that underwear rip, you know. And if he hasn't bought any new underwear in a while, it could rip pretty easy. Because we did end up with some elastic bands in our hands, you know, and so you had to try and figure out, well, do I keep going because it's still going up the front section, so might as well just let it go the rest of the way, you know. And but no, we were something else back in those days, back in the 70s and 80s, you know. But but yes, please like, share, and follow, because I will follow you guys back that have followed me here. Go up here to my website. You'll find it in the link there on my profile page, not on Facebook and YouTube, but you guys can find that pretty easy in the About section. Um, and go like my other profiles. You look like someone who needs moral support, but the M is silent. Oh, how cute, Frida. Thank you. Um, never heard that one before. Just like I'm Danny Bonaducci too, and some graffiti artist out there, Becky, or something like that. I don't know. So basically, what she's trying to say, Frida down here, Frida, YT is saying we need oral support down here. And so my night owl is going off like crazy. So, but you know, all that goody good stuff. But no, atomic wedgies and all that stuff is real, man. Quippy, all that stuff is real. You know, I wish there was some true documented proof out there other than in movies. Um, and there could be some home footage out there that somebody does have some atomic wedgies going on, and some normal wedgies. Titty twisters were always a thing, but you never caught those, I'm sure, on film. Those type things. So, uh, but yeah, no, it's all fun and games. But again, go up to my website right here, and you'll find my alien logo that says 412 Productions, the Art of Monty Anderson. You'll see the alien there holding the pencil. And you can follow my other socials: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you're already here on TikTok. So we appreciate you being here. But that is it for today. I've got to go take care of some animals. It is about that time to start letting some free range chickens and ducks and geese go out. Everybody in here, have an awesome day. So, as I like to say as I leave you guys, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody. Hold on, I got to read this. We had all the high school shenanigans, just honed in, just none of the atomic wedgies being a thing. Well, go back to high school and make it a thing. But we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day.